Alright, we got a 2003 Civic EX with a manual transmission. It's got a bad front motor mount, so I'll go ahead and show you how I change these out. I already did a video like this on a very similar 03. That one had an automatic transmission, I believe, and so slightly different configuration, but it's the same process. But this time around I'll be shooting in high definition, so hopefully it'll be a little bit better, because that other one was my very first video. That's why I remember it. So see if I got any better. Okay, looking from the front of the car, go right there. There's your engine mount in the front, also known as a motor mount too. So there's 3 bolts holding it on, plus 1 going through the middle here, and so that's what we'll be taking off. And if you want to know if yours is bad, or many times you can check, see if I can get a shot of it. You can see that crack right there, right in the center of the screen right there. Right there, you can see that crack. That's the rubber cracked through, so it's not doing much dampening of the engine anymore. Now normally you don't need to jack these up, but as you can see, this vehicle has some damage and it's a little lower. So I'm going to go and jack it up, and right here, if you notice, that's hard to see, but there's an arrow right here, points to this piece right here where my finger is. That's where I'm going to put the jack. I'm going to jack it up, and I'm going to put jack stands on the sides. And over here, if you look right there, this bracket right here, that's where we're going to put the jack stand. I'm going to do it on both sides. And I do have the rear wheels chocked also. Alright, here's the front engine mount. There's the part number if you can read that. And Honda recommends the through bolt be replaced too. Here's the part number for this model. So that's what it looks like right there. You can see this is usually where it breaks, right in there, or right in here. You can see there's not a whole lot to it. Sits in the vehicle like this. So you got 1 bolt here, 1 bolt here, 1 bolt on the bottom that we got to get to, and then this bolt goes through like that, and then there's another nut that's attached down there that we'll have to hold in place. So let's get to it. First thing we'll do is go in and unplug this O2 sensor, if I can get it. A little bit tight. Just squeeze that button right there and unplug it. This way we don't take a chance of damaging it. Just get that wire out of the way. We just got to remember to plug it back in when we're done. Alright, just going to spray just a little bit of penetrating oil on that nut right there. Just try to help us loosen it up. Alright, now the first thing I'm going to do is take out this through bolt right here that goes through over to this side. Now this nut over here has a little hook on it that holds it still. Don't try to turn that nut or you'll damage it and you'll be buying another one. All we're going to do is hold that with a 17mm wrench, and we're going to turn this side. Now usually you can do it with a ratchet from up top, or you can go at this angle right here and hold them from the bottom. I'll try it from the top first so we have enough room. This is your exhaust manifold right here, and this thing gets really hot. I recommend do this when the car is cooled off, or you'll be burning yourself on this thing. These suckers can be in there tight. You can see there's the nut, the little lock on there. Just sits down in place. We'll get this lower 17 while we're right here. We'll just get this bolt right here now. And proceed to drop the bolt. You can see they're both the same size, the two that I've taken out so far. Now we'll knock this last bolt loose, which is a 14 millimeter. The other three were 17s. You can see not a lot of space in here. I think I can get my ratchet on here now. Much easier. Now obviously this bolt will be different. Snake our mount out. You can see it was only broke on one side, not both, but still wasn't doing much good in there. All right, let's get the new one in there. And before you try to put it in, make sure everything lines up, looks the same. Alright, I think we're good to go. Now if you take this out, this just sits in a groove right down in there. Really difficult to show, but yeah, it just sits right in the groove. So if you take it out, make sure to just slide it right back in the groove down there. That way it won't move around. And the new mount sits in there like this, with this long piece up, like that. So we'll just meander it around back in here without damaging anything. Set it right back into place. It's gonna go just like that. There's a shot of that locking nut. We put our bolts in just like we took them out. Alright, you may have to lift up on the mount and move it around in order to get these started. Make sure get these bolts started by hand. Don't try to just run them in. You'll cross thread them and then you'll have a bad day. Alright, let's get the other two after I put a new glove on. You can see it's tight in there. You're going to scratch yourself up most likely. Alright, try to get the second one in there. can see, you may have to move this mount all around, try to get these lined up. Alright, using our brand new through bolt. You can see it's easier. Put everything in by hand first before you try to tighten stuff in. So now we got everything in, now we can just start tightening them down. Sometimes if you're using an aftermarket unit, you may find that these bolt holes don't line up very well. You may have to move the engine just a little bit. If you do, put a block of wood on a jack. And I like to use the transmission. Just put a block of wood under here with a jack and just gently move it just a little bit, just slightly, if you can't get those holes to line up. But usually you don't have to, but some cheap aftermarket mounts you have to do that. Alright, now we got to get them down to the final torque. I don't know if I can get a torque wrench in here, but I'll try. All the 17mm bolts, this one and the two over here, those are all going to be 47 foot-pounds, and then the 14 right here is going to be 40 foot-pounds. Just remember, we're going into aluminum. If we can't get a torque wrench in here, we just got to be smart about it. Just get them up snug, and then that's it. No need to crush them, or you'll be hurting. And we'll go with the 14 first. Yeah, 40.1, not bad. Alright, we'll do the rest at 47. You guys see that? 47 foot-pounds. $47.5, and a little over, not bad. Tell you what, you appreciate the beep and the vibrate in the handle of these because you can't see it. And we'll get this bolt on the bottom. Come on. Well, at least I'm consistent. 47.5. That's okay. And the center bolt. Alright, we'll go ahead and get our O2 sensor plugged back in. Make sure you give it a tug, make sure it's on there. And we'll double check our work. Make sure you got the center bolt tightened and the other 3 bolts. I like to touch them all. And just take a second, look over your work, make sure everything looks good. As you can see, there's the tools I used. I didn't use a whole lot. 17mm box end wrench. I did end up using this really thin combo wrench that with the flex head has a 3/8 on one side and a quarter. Obviously I used the 3/8 to break those loose with a 14 and a 17mm socket. I did use that to help me out, and then obviously I used a light, some PB blaster, and I used the digital torque wrench. Tell you what, once you start using one of those, you'll never want to go back to a click type. You could probably get a regular ratchet in there. I chose to use the thinner one to give me more room. And I wanted this one because it's longer. You get more leverage, because I don't know how it came out in the video, but those bolts were on there tight. This motor mount has probably been on there for quite a while. And there you go. There's a final shot of the engine mount all installed. Everything bolted back up, plugged back in. Everything's good to go. Always a good habit, or my habit, double check everything before you close the hood. Hopefully this video turned out a little bit better than my very first video. Hopefully I'm getting better at this stuff. And as always, if you enjoyed the video and helped you out, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.